Good evening, guys. Welcome to another great episode of PassionateSoccerCoach.com. I am your host, Alden Bislagic, and in today's discussion, we're going to be talking about club structure, curriculum development, grassroots to high school, and we have a really special guest today, Jay Rousseau. Jay, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
All right. Well, before we get started, I just want to say thank you for having me on the podcast. I really love what you're trying to do here. Website, all the coaching curriculum that you're supplying. I think this is great for coaches everywhere. I wish I had something like this, 12, 13 years ago when I started coaching. So appreciate it. Thank you very much. So my name is Jay. I live in Enfield, grew up in Enfield, grew up playing soccer in Enfield. I started playing soccer when I was 3 years old within Enfield's program at the time. When I got to about U8, I started playing Premier Soccer in West Hartford Premier's developmental program. I played for Steve Stelko over there. He was a really good coach. I believe he's with FSA right now as their director of coaching. Then at around U12, U13, I made the switch over to Oakwood. Had some really great coaching over there too. Dave Farrell was my coach over there. Had him for a while. Started playing ODP around that same era. And then at high school, I was a 4-year starter, captain my senior year, made all conference. But unfortunately, my senior year, I already knew what I was going to go to college for. I wasn't going to go to a 4-year school. I was going to go to a tech school. I had a little bit of a burnout factor going on with all the soccer I was playing leading up to that. So I decided to take a break from soccer, went to tech school, had kids, got married at a really early age. I was 21 when I had my first daughter. Started coaching when I was 23, 24 years old, and I haven't looked back since. So that's me in a nutshell. I've got 3 kids now. I've got a 14-year-old daughter in high school. I've got a 10-year-old son in elementary school, and I've got a 1.5-year-old son at home now too. So
You got your hands full there, huh?
Yep, absolutely.
So Jay, tell me more about the shirt that you're wearing, the club that you're director at. So I got a glance at your curriculum and the structure and the direction you guys are going. Tell me how that started and how it's going and where it's heading going forward.
Yeah, so Enfield Soccer Association, we're actually in our infant stages, I would call it. We're about 4 years old now. We started from scratch. Myself and Jeff Rousseau, who is our president currently, and another 5, 6 eager parents. We started ESA mainly because we saw the direction that soccer in Enfield was going. Didn't necessarily agree with what was going on. So we started our own organization, which isn't a bad thing. Having two organizations in a town is not a bad thing. I actually think it's a good thing because you're competing against each other. You're making each other better. You're growing the game of soccer. So we started 4 years ago. Our primary focus was to get the kids playing in a safe, fun, and a very positive environment. Our first program that we started was our Learn to Play program. That's how we started, picking up our numbers. Our Learn to Play programs, our grassroots program for 3 and 4-year-olds. So we figured, let's try this out. We got some sponsors on board to help us buy some equipment, buy some T-shirts for the kids. It's a free program. There's no registration fees because I feel like there's a lot of untapped areas in Enfield. We have some areas that might need programs like this. So we started the Learn to Play program. Our first year we had 80 kids sign up, which was great, which was, triple the numbers that we thought we were going to get. And now here we are 4 years later with an average of 200 kids per season in our Learn to Play program. So that's how we started. We also had our first true team was our, at that time, U12 girls team who came over with us from the Enfield Soccer Club. That's where Jeff and I were coaching. So we started with the academy program, and once we had that set in place, we started our academy program and so on. So we started building from there. But our Learn to Play program it's really, I think that's our most important program that we have in Enfield. That's our foundation. That's where everything starts. Once you get the kids to fall in love with the game there, then it's building. So then we have a large pool of players in Enfield that we can start developing.
But having two clubs is not bad at one town. Competition is always healthy, keeps each other at the toes, and sometimes change is necessary. Like I've recognized this, to your point there. You're not the only town. There's many towns that need to change how they operate, how they do things. Of any grassroots program is that it's got to be a goal. I want to, develop players, of course, for the love of the game. At the same time, having a structure to feed and compete at the right level, because you will develop some players. They're going to be hungrier than others and more developed, and they want to be more engaged. So you have to cater to that individuals. Otherwise, you're going to lose them to premier programs. You're going to lose them somewhere else. I am here, right? I'm trying to send a message, and just like you guys have. So tell me, like, how do you partner up with the high school coach? Or like, do you guys talk about like where you should be focusing on the grassroots level? I know it should be fun games, all that stuff, but do you guys have like a plan worked out?
Yes, definitely. So that's another one of the things that we did when we decided to start ESA. We had actually contacted the middle school and the high school coaches, sat down with them, had separate meetings with each one of them. So what they do for us is actually they do a lot for us. For our Learn to Play program, we can start there. For that program, we have our high school coaches, varsity JV. We have the players come out, the captains of the varsity team. They come out and they help us out on the field. So what our Learn to Play program is it's a Saturday program, Saturday morning, it's 45 minutes. We do 2 sessions. We encourage, lots of touches on the ball. We do 4 different activities. So we'll do, maybe one weekend we'll work on a shooting activity. Another weekend we'll do some free play. But for the most part, we just do fun games. We're just trying to keep the kids fun and having fun and moving. Sometimes they don't even have the soccer ball. Sometimes we'll just, we're dribbling back and forth through the field. You get to one sideline and, you got the kids dancing around their soccer balls. We just want them to have fun and we want them to come back. So we'll have about between 4 and 6 fields going at the same time. We'll have a lead coach on each field, but we'll also have helpers. So we might have a couple of the high school coaches on one field. I'll be on one field. My developmental coaching director is on one field, and we'll have the high school varsity kids and JV kids come, and they can be helpers. We'll have the competitive soccer, travel soccer kids come in and help out. The competitive travel coaches come and help out. So that, like I said, that's our foundation. We want the kids to have fun. And so that's where the whole high school coaches, help us out to begin with. But what they also do for us is they'll run clinics. They attend all of our coaches meetings. They invite us out to their games so the boys and girls can get introduced with the teams. They can play at halftime. So what we're trying to do is create a real family environment in Enfield, something that I think was lacking prior to ESA. But I think it's awesome when, the high school kids will see the ESA players in passing and they know their names. And, it's really just, it's a great environment that we've started here. So yes, Tony Allegro and Kate Batista have been great for us.
You're not only creating an environment, you're creating a culture of integration and the gap. So like you're creating heroes for your little grassroots players, and because they're going to look up to those high school players, and that's really important, that culture that you guys trying to build, which is in town, and there's an end goal, there's everybody's helping each other, and like you have good relationship with the high school coach. That is so important. You mentioned something with the coaches, like you guys do some kind of coaches education, you train the coaches. So like you can provide a great experience to those grassroots players and across, and as they could continue progressing. Is that something you guys do as well?
Yeah, so coaching education is huge for us. So for one, we do really encourage our coaches to go get their grassroots certifications. U.S. Soccer has 4v4, 7v7, 9v9, 11v11 grassroots online, or you can do the in-person. The in-person courses for 7v7, 9v9, 11v11 that U.S. Soccer has to offer, they're about 4 hours in total. You learn a ton from them. I learn a ton from them. I think I've taken some of them 2 and 3 times just because. So we make sure all of our coaches get certified. Currently, all of our competitive travel coaches are certified, and most of our assistant coaches are also certified. Another thing we do is we reimburse our coaches for their education, at least half of it. They get half of it back. So if the course costs $80, we will reimburse them $40. The Roots League that we are involved in up in Western Massachusetts, they actually host courses through U.S. Soccer, and if you are a team within their league, you can take those courses for free whenever they have to offer them. So we do that. We also host coaches meetings every season, before every season, but our big one is usually midwinter. We have all of our competitive coaches come out, head coaches, assistant coaches. We have the high school, varsity, and JV coaches out there, the middle school coaches. And we talk soccer, we talk philosophy, we talk about how we want to run the program, how to present yourselves, how we want to develop the players. Our high school coaches will make presentations. One thing that the high school coaches are having us do is to make it easier to adapt to high school, they're having us learn the number positioning system that they have incorporated at the high school level. We also host coaching courses ourselves. So we'll rent out a space in the winter for 2 or 3 hours. What I do is I go over 10 or 15 different drills for the coaches to possibly use during their season, how to properly set up and structure their practices, show up 15, 20 minutes early, sometimes a half an hour early, have your cones preset, think about what your practice plan is going to be coming into the practice, share it with your assistant coaches. So we go over all of that with our coaches. We'll order them pizza. We'll make it a fun thing. I really enjoy our winter meetings that we have. The coaches have a great time. They end up usually staying after the meeting is done, and we continue talking. And that goes back to our family environment that we're trying to build in Enfield.
No, it's fantastic. It looks like you guys are creating a positive and supportive environment to your coaches, and you continue pushing the continuous development as well, because you cannot stale as a coach. You got to keep improving, keep learning. And as coaches, we're always learning. Like I've been coaching 15 years, and every year I'm learning something new and keep developing. And because if you're not learning, how can you teach? Because you can only teach so much, but you have to keep evolving. And that's great that you guys keep doing this. So you like your coaches to be like any particular license you want them to have, or just grassroots?
So grassroots in particular, but if they want to further it, I'd like them to get certified in the specific formation that they are coaching. So if you're a U9 coach, you're going to take the 7v7 coaching course. If you're a U12 coach, you're going to take the 9v9. If you're U13 and up, you'll take the 11v11 course. I do let them know that if they take the 9v9 and the 11v11 in-person courses, they can actually take that and go for their D license. That's the next step. And so, yeah, they've been really good about getting certified. They're all willing and motivated to do it. I think if you kind of set that precedence, it kind of motivates them to do that themselves. But yeah, coaching education is huge for us. We definitely take it seriously. And like I said, I mean, I've learned so much from them. It's not just those U.S. soccer coaching courses either. United Soccer Coaches has so much to offer. If you sign up with them, they have diploma courses where I've actually taken, probably 5 of those courses, diversity and inclusion, developing a philosophy, They're so educational, and I can't put enough emphasis on getting yourself educated in order to be a coach.
As a newly found organization or club, how do you balance competition with player development?
So that's a good question. So I can give you a couple examples based off my experience. So I created the academy program within ESA, which is our it's the step. You can either take that left turn and go to recreational, or you can take that right turn and go to the competitive academy. It's for U6 through U8. When I started that, and I had my first U8 team, I had a parent meeting, and you have to set these boundaries with the parents. You have to be upfront with them that there's going to be games where it could be really ugly. We're going to learn how to play the right way. We're not just going to play north and kick the ball up the field. We're going to play south. We're going to play east. We're going to play west. We're going to spread the ball around. We're going to learn how to build out of the back. And it's going to be ugly at times. We might lose 10-0, 11-0, but it's okay because they're learning to play the right way. And it will pay off in the future. So for sure, parents might not like that. They might be turned off by that. But, come here we are, U11, and we're competing for a Western Mass Roots championship. So, to try and keep that fine line with development and being competitive, I think that it's just a lengthy process. As long as you're teaching them the right way, you can stay competitive, or it will take some time to get competitive, but you can remain competitive.
Absolutely. What advice do you have for parents? Parents are more competitive than kids, by the way.
Yeah.
So that's your biggest, as a director, you probably see this. You have to educate the parents. You mentioned this. What advice do you have for them throughout this journey? Because now, when they start with you guys 3-4 years on grassroots level, as they progress, what can you tell them? Hey, just hang back. Listen, be involved. What advice do you have for them?
A couple things. So, being a coach, you're not just coaching the kids, you're kind of coaching the parents as well. So what I usually tell the parents is that this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. Okay. So you gotta look at this as we're in the beginning stages of the race, and we're far from the end. So it's going to be a lengthy process, and it's going to be ugly sometimes, but trust me, in a couple of years, you're going to see a big difference. It's not going to happen in one season. It's not going to happen in 2 seasons, but by season 3 and 4, you're going to start to see a difference. I guess for the parents, it's really just keeping them educated, keeping them in the loop, keep making sure they're involved. It's really just, it's a lengthy process. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. So
you mentioned parents' education. In your opinion, what's the best practice? Do one before the season, during the season, after the season?
For me, I give weekly updates, but for the coaches within our organization, we make sure that they have a preseason meeting, a mid-season meeting, and an end-season meeting. So they're constantly updating their parents. They're giving them the information needed. For me, I let the parents know what our preseason expectations are going into the season, what we're going to be working on, so that they know, this is why we're doing this. Maybe preseason, I would tell the parents that we're going to start using our goalkeeper as that ninth player in 9v9. We're going to start using his feet. If we run into pressure, we're going to turn it around. We're going to reset. So if you hear me say reset, that means we're going to play it back to the keeper, and we're doing that on purpose. So what we don't want is parents coaching from the sidelines, asking their kids, what are they doing if they play that ball back to the goalkeeper? We don't want that. We want one voice. We want a coach's voice. We don't want a parent's voice. We're not saying you can't be encouraging on the sidelines, but we're saying, just please keep the coaching tips to yourself, because you're going to confuse the kids.
It's the last thing you want. Confuse the player. Then they don't know what to do, and they keep not following your instructions, and then they're not playing the way you want them to play. That's great advice. What's next for Enfield Soccer Association? What are you guys doing? Like, what's on the horizons?
Well, right now we're still, like I said, I think we're still in our infant stages. We're really trying to grow the amount of soccer players in Enfield. That's our main goal right now. Back in its heyday, back in the mid 90s, late 90s, Enfield had about 1,400 kids playing soccer. Right now we're at about 900, but 4 years ago we were at 700. So we are making a difference. And I think that our foundation program, Learn to Play, has a lot to do with that because, now those kids are in our academy program. We're growing the game from U11 down. I think each team has about 20 to 30 players on it, even more. My group has about 35 kids. So we are making a difference. It's going to be a slow process. We're going to continue doing what we do, though. We, as coaches, we have player clinics. So we'll have like a first touch and passing clinic, or we'll have a goalkeeper clinic, or we'll have a skills clinic, attacking clinic. So we like to put clinics on for the kids. That's definitely stuff that we're going to continuing to do. Another thing is my director of player development. He's like my partner in crime. His name is Carm Nucio. He's actually the JFK middle school boys coach. We've created this working document. It's a curriculum for the coaches to help them set up their practice sessions. It's got about 160 different lessons on there. It's got videos. It's got step-by-step drills that you can do. So we will continue to build on that as well.
Oh, that's excellent. Do you guys allow players from different towns to participate, or is it just strictly Enfield kids?
It's strictly Enfield kids. We do get the occasional out-of-town player to come join us, but at the competitive level, it is you're only limited to 2 out-of-town players per team. So for the most part, like 98% of it is Enfield players.
Okay, and you mentioned the clinics. Where can people find the clinics? Is it like on your website or?
Yeah, usually social media. We will post them a few weeks or a month in advance on when they are. But those clinics, yes, we can invite some out-of-town players for those clinics. So yeah, that's our future plans right there. And we'll just keep doing that going forward.
It's fantastic. I love the branding. Like, I see you guys everywhere. I love the pink shirts.
Yeah.
I love the socks. I tell you, like, you guys picked the right colors. It matches with passionatesoccer.com, like nothing else.
We try. We really do try.
No, you gotta stick out. And I think you're making a statement and setting example, I was gonna say, in the field, because you cannot be ordinary. You gotta believe in what you're doing, stand behind it, and go all in. Everybody does it, and I tell you, when you play your teams, it. My daughter came to Enfield. I think I sent you a message, and
Yeah.
it, you're there, you feel it, and it's everywhere, and I love that. It's brand identity. Like, everybody feels their part, and I love what you're building, and like all the multiple teams and the different levels that they're competing. That's all the right things you guys are doing, and I'm really, really impressed.
Appreciate it. Yeah, you mentioned multiple teams, which you're absolutely right. So now that we have that larger player pool at the younger ages, what we'll do is, if I have 30 to 35 kids on a roster, what we'll do is we'll kind of split them up based on their abilities. But what we do is we'll enter those teams based on their talent levels in their specific divisions. So if you have a stronger team, you might be in Division 1 or 2. If you have a middle tier team, they might be in Division 2 or 3. And then what we do is we'll create a developmental travel team that might have 8 kids on it, and we'll mix in some of the higher level players with those kids at the lower levels to try and develop them a little bit more too. So we're we don't really turn anybody away. We've yet to make any cuts. We're really just trying to develop everybody that we possibly can, so that by the time they do get to high school, the high school coaches have a huge player pool to choose from, and that'll start to make them a little bit more competitive as well.
You know what made me sad? I went to a Rocky Hill high school game, and the opponent team had one sub. And I was like, how is this possible? It comes back to your point, like it starts out with the grassroots level. You got to develop them, get them interested, because they can get distracted. There's so much to choose from, different sports, and you want your kids to try different things. Of course, you want them, and of course, at the end of the day, you want them to play soccer, but like they should be trying different sports, which to me, it's kids being kids. Eventually they come back to the passion and what they love, and it all starts with 3-4 years old. First jersey, first soccer ball, first coach, positive environment. They remember those games, and that's how you get the ball rolling. I was talking to Shannon, like he does soccer shots, and we were talking about grassroots level coaching. And like at that time, my son was 3 years old, and we go to this town program. It's a dyno program, whatever you want to call it. And the coach, like there was zero energy coach. It's not even her fault. She wasn't taught properly, how to coach. And she wasn't a coach. She was a parent volunteer, goes with a folder in her hand, and she's reading and looking what to do. And, there was zero energy. Kids feed off energy. And to me, it was like my son is going to start. And he didn't want to play soccer afterwards. And I knew this was going to happen because of lack of energy, lack of engagement, lack of preparation. And that all comes back to your training that you mentioned earlier. Like you have to train your coaches. You have to be there earlier. You have to, set the expectation, get them going right away. Like nobody's standing, get everybody involved. And that's great that you guys are doing this. And the parents' education is huge. The curriculum that you have, the plan. What advice do you have for other clubs? Because now, I think you guys are doing all the right things internally as a club, as an organization. But what advice can you give like other clubs?
Honestly, the biggest benefit of what we're doing here and what we're building in Enfield is getting the middle and the high school programs on board with us. I think that's the biggest thing, because ultimately everything goes through them. So what they ask us to do, we're going to do. We can run things by them. We're on the same page, so that transition to middle and high school is much easier for the players. Same terminology, number positioning system, all of that makes a big difference. It's less time for those coaches to have to focus and hone in on those aspects of the game, and more of the tactical aspects that they can focus on.
No, that makes it really easy. It's like academy. I'm listening to Barcelona, right? Barcelona at like 2 years old, 3 years old, to when they go on the first team. No, you're making the life of the coach easier. Like it makes he talks one language, everybody understands him. And that makes your job as a coach, especially in middle school and high school, it's going to take it further. And I tell you, you're setting them up for success. And they're going to appreciate. That's why they're also involved, because they know the value of it, and it's the partnership that's important, because that's going to get you guys championships, state championships. I'll guarantee it. How far did they get this year?
Our girls team just got knocked out in the first round, and our boys team unfortunately did not make it this year. But the prior years they did. They were, I think, the past 2 or 3 years that they did make the state tournament for the boys. So. It's unfortunate. I think the high school ran into some injuries, so it didn't really help them too much.
Sometimes that's the depthness of your team as well that's going to get you through the end lines. But you're doing the right things, and from what I heard, I'm going from 200 to 900 kids in 4 years, and I think your goal is to surpass 1,400, where you guys had the max. And you will get there. It takes time, dedication. You have the infrastructure. You have the coaches. I think you mentioned you have 60 coaches. Is that correct?
Yeah, between competitive head coaches and assistant coaches, we have about, I want to say, 60 coaches. Yep.
That's a nice group of coaching staff there. And everybody comes to those educational classes, or how does it work?
Yep. So we make sure every head coach is there, and then we invite the assistant coaches as well. But it's kind of like a mandatory thing for the head coaches to be there. But we want the assistant coaches there as well. I'm at the point now where, we want the coaches to bring in assistant coaches. We want to get more voices, within the larger groups. It makes it a lot easier to plan your practice sessions. The head coaches, their job is to kind of coach the assistant coaches too, get them up to speed. So for me, I have 3 assistant coaches on my boys team. Originally we had, 30 kids on our team, but since we've divided them up into a couple of different teams now, we still continue to have, I have 3 coaches, but I'm confident in them right now that they could take an academy team or a grassroots team and start from the bottom and be a successful coach.
When you go to a tournament or to like a game, and when you look around, what do you notice? What difference do you and your program brings versus somebody else? What do you notice?
So I'll be straightforward and honest. A lot of our teams, we have, like you said, we have all this gear, our ESA gear. We've got some teams that have custom tents, that say Enfield soccer on them. It's really just like, we've become flashy, I guess you would say. What I've noticed is that our coaches' pregame warmups are very good compared to some of the other teams that I'm seeing around. Sometimes you get a coach that kind of just shows up. He's kind of like the dad from the sidelines, shows up. The kids are just shooting on the goal, doing whatever they want. Where our teams, we're doing a rondo drill to start. We're doing a structured shooting drill. We're stretching. We're incorporating stretching in our pregame warm up. So, I guess you could just say, for the most part, it's our what we bring to the table as far as our merchandise. That's the only thing I can really see that's a lot different.
No, you spot on there. And anywhere I go, I see pride. I see pride in your brand. And what you're doing is, it's not just you wearing and representing. It's your parents, it's your players, it's everybody that's part of your association and your program wears it with pride, and that shows a lot on your leadership and what you guys are doing. Like, not everybody wants to represent you. If they don't like you, if they don't know what you're doing, and if they don't believe in what you're doing, they would not do this. And that shows a lot about you guys and what you guys are trying to accomplish. Anywhere I go, like I'm telling you, any tournament, any games, if anybody's from Enfield Soccer Associations, they're going to be wearing either a hat, hoodie, shirt, or there's a tent in the corner, right?
Yeah.
And that's 100% anywhere I go, and which I'm telling you, that's excellent, man. You're building a culture that you can't knock down, and just keep working at it and keep doing what you're doing and keep working with your coaches, educate them. The more education they get, the better they're going to get, and which means they're going to transfer the knowledge to the kids. And you're already doing that, and I'm preaching to the core. I just want to say I appreciate what you guys are doing, and like I told you before, you're going to hear it again. I like what you guys are doing a lot.
I appreciate that very much, and I appreciate what you're doing here with the Passionate Soccer Coach. This is amazing.
Yeah, it's 20 years of coaching and compressed into 1 year. And we're gonna let the voices be heard right across the globe. And this is just the beginning for both our programs and both what we're standing for. And hopefully we can help each other and ways lift us up and keep collaborating and building those kids up at the young ages, and setting them for success if they want to compete at the right levels. Like this, not everybody deserves and should be competing at the levels they are. Sometimes mistakes are made and they shouldn't be competing. I know this, you know it, and like, to me, everybody has a chance. Everybody's got potential, because when they're young, they might be struggling with something, but then one day they can just turn around and become the best player and superstar. Anything can change in this journey, which is the beautiful part of soccer.
Oh, absolutely.
What else do you want to leave the audience and our fans with?
So, like I said before, to the coaches, to the parents, to all the listeners, just remember, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. The developmental process, everything, it takes a long time. It's not going to happen at U8. U9, U10. It's not even going to happen at U13. But hopefully by the time the players get to the high school level, they're ready and they're prepared. So, just got to be patient and stick with the consistency and the repetition, and you're going to have some great success.
Excellent tips. Thank you again, Jay. Thank you for being part of our show. I'm sure I'll see you on the fields, and best of luck in your season and the journey and building a great soccer club that you already are.
I appreciate that very much. Thanks, Alden. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.